What if I told you that meditation is not about sitting still and trying not to think for half an hour, and that neuroscience actually paints a different picture? In this video, we're going to dive into the neuroscience of what meditation actually is and how you can utilize it for best results. Once you understand this, meditation stops feeling like a chore and starts feeling like a superpower. Let's dive right in. Welcome to Holistic Balance, the podcast, where we bridge science and spirituality and explore what it really means to live a soul-led, fully human life. I'm Lisa, certified coach, Reiki master teacher, and psychology graduate. My mission is to help you reconnect with your truth, embody your healing, and create a life that feels aligned, not just on the outside, but deep within you. I feel like most people think that meditation is about sitting still, closing your eyes, and trying not to think. And if you've ever tried that, you probably felt incredibly frustrated because your mind kept racing. And especially when I'm feeling stressed or when I need the meditation the most, sitting still and not thinking is the most difficult part. And the funny thing is that I feel like a lot of people associate that with meditation, right? They associate sitting down and being in stillness with meditation, but that is one of the more advanced meditation techniques. There's whole, those 10-day retreats, being in stillness and all that, and that is fantastic. The results that you get from that are incredible, but that is not for someone who hasn't meditated before. So I don't understand why we associate the more advanced meditation techniques with meditation, while there is a wide variety of meditations you can do that are so simple to follow, that are so easy and quick. So if you are one of those people who say, I just can't meditate, it doesn't work for me, please give me just 10 minutes and let me show you a different perspective on meditation. Because here's the truth. Meditation is not about shutting off your thoughts. It's about changing your relationship with them. And the science behind what happens when you meditate is honestly mind-blowing. Because for decades over decades, psychologists, doctors, researchers have studied meditation and the effects of meditation on the mind and the nervous system. And it's really cool because it shows that meditation can actually reshape your brain. It calms your nervous system. And it rewires the way you respond to whatever is happening in your life, not only while you are in meditation, but even far beyond that. And once you understand that, once you really understand what is happening in the brain and in the body when you meditate, it stops feeling like something that you should do. I mean, we've all been there, right? Thinking, oh, I should meditate for 10 minutes, for half an hour, for an hour. I remember when I started getting into meditation, I thought that I had to do half an hour of meditation every day, otherwise it wouldn't count. And then I progressed a bit. I obviously failed, quote unquote, with trying to meditate every day for half an hour. And I tried out different versions. I tried out different types of meditation. At some point I did my meditation teacher training. And I still remember my meditation teacher telling us that if you are new to meditation, start with 3 minutes every day. 3 minutes until that feels like it's too little. Only then do you move on. So people who have meditated for decades are telling you don't do half an hour per day. But start with 3 minutes. Start with 5 minutes, with 10 minutes, depending on where in your journey you are. Maybe you have meditated in the past, but you want to get back into it. Start with 5 minutes. Maybe you meditate here and there, but you want to make it a rhythm, a ritual, a routine. Start with 10 minutes. So depending on where you are, you can customize that, but it doesn't have to be half an hour to count. Allow meditation to start feeling like a tool that you get to use. A tool for your brain, your body, and your soul. So let's start with your brain. Scientists put long-term meditators into MRI machines, so scanning their brains. What they found was pretty cool and pretty impressive. So what they found is that meditation doesn't just change how you feel in the moment. So what I said earlier, meditation doesn't just change how you experience things while you are meditating, but it actually changes the very structure and function of your brain. So for instance, the hippocampus, the part of your brain that is linked to learning, memory, and emotional regulation, actually grows denser with regular meditation. And what that means is that you become better at processing your information, remembering what matters, and regulating how you respond to life's ups and downs. So put very simple, you're less likely to spiral when something stressful happens. You're more able to pause, to learn, and to respond thoughtfully. Another example, the prefrontal cortex, so the CEO of your brain, responsible for focus, decision-making, long-term planning. If we're talking in terms of energy, you could say that's the more masculine part. That also becomes thicker and more active. This is why meditation is often linked to better concentration, sharper problem solving, and greater willpower. So if you're struggling to focus, especially for a longer amount of time, meditation can also help with that. I'm talking to all of my students right now, for instance. If you're struggling to focus on learning, on studying, on writing your essays, on focusing in lectures, meditation can help with that. It can actually help you to be able to focus on one thing at a time. And then there's something else. And that, I think, for me, when I started, was kind of the most relevant, or the most, if I knew that much about it back then, I think that would have been like the most deciding factor of like, I'm going to try meditation now. The amygdala. So that's your brain's built-in alarm system. It's like this almond-shaped structure that fires up when you sense danger, triggering stress hormones like cortisol. And in a modern world full of emails, deadlines, constant stimulation, Instagram, and sounds that are everywhere, the amygdala tends to be very, very active. It tends to be hyperactive, actually, leaving us anxious, tense, and on edge. But meditation can actually help to calm its reactivity. In other words, your brain learns not to sound the alarm bell over every little stressor. So you begin to feel more grounded, more in control, and safer in your own body. If you want to learn more about that, just look up neuroplasticity and meditation. Because neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to rewire itself based on what you repeatedly practice. So just like lifting weights builds muscle, meditating consistently builds neural pathways that support calm, focus, compassion, and resilience. So every time you sit down to meditate, you're not just relaxing. You're actively training your brain to work for you instead of against you. You're creating the conditions for a calmer nervous system, clearer thinking, and a more stable emotional life. And that's why even a few minutes a day, practiced regularly, can completely shift how you move through your life. But it's not just your brain. Meditation also transforms your nervous system. And I know we talk about the nervous system all the time, right? But it is so key. And once you understand this, what I'm about to tell you, you're going to want to meditate. When you're stressed, your body flips into fight or flight mode. So it activates the parasympathetic nervous system part. Your heart rate spikes, your breath gets shallow, your body floods with cortisol. And the crazy part is, it doesn't even take a tiger chasing you. It could be just your inbox, an awkward conversation, a thought about the future, or a weird look from a stranger to have you spiral down. Evolutionary, we haven't changed much. Our reaction to those perceived threats and stimuli hasn't changed much. So we still react to every little stressor like that as if it was a tiger chasing us. And here comes meditation. So meditation acts like a reset button. It slows down your breath, it lowers your heart rate, and it activates the parasympathetic nervous system. So that is your body's natural rest and digest mode. That is where healing takes place. That is where, if you notice that sometimes when you relax, you get all of these amazing ideas, inspiration comes in. That's when you're in the parasympathetic nervous system part. So over time, practicing meditation actually lowers your baseline stress level. That means that even outside of meditation, you're more calm, steady, more grounded. You don't just feel good while meditating. You carry that calm into your everyday life. And while the science is incredible, and I love the science part, the researcher in me is just overly excited about everything that we just talked about. But I also want to honor the other side of meditation, the part that's harder to measure, but just as real. For so long, meditation has been used to connect with something deeper. Presence, intuition, energy, the soul. I like to think of it this way. Your mind is like a snow globe. All day long, thoughts, worries, and distractions keep the snow swirling. Meditation doesn't make the snow disappear, but it helps it settle. And when it does, you can finally see clearly through the glass. The clarity is where you reconnect with yourself. It's where you hear your inner wisdom. It's where you feel a sense of greater belonging. If you are currently trying to make a big decision, or you're trying to make a small decision, whatever it is, and you're struggling because you have this brain fog and it's just impossible to see clearly, meditation can help with that. I feel like an ambassador for meditation in this video, but I truly think that meditation can be absolutely transformative. And it can help you feel a sense of belonging to something greater, whether you call that spirit, energy, God, the universe, or simply the deeper layers of you. So meditation is not just brain training or recalibrating your nervous system. It's a soul remembering. It goes way beyond the brain and the nervous system. So now that we learned the foundations of what is it that makes meditation so cool, why do we want to do meditation? How do we actually meditate? Here's the good news. You don't need to meditate for hours to get these benefits. Even 5 minutes a day is enough to begin shifting your brain and calming your body. But here's the catch, and I need you to be brave right now because I feel like that's the part where it gets a bit tricky and a bit annoying, but consistency is everything. So just like you wouldn't go to the gym once and expect to get strong, meditation works through small daily practice. And I'm going to share something very, very exciting and free in a few minutes here. But how can you start practicing meditation today? One of the coolest things is breath awareness. Simply notice your inhale and exhale. You can count your breaths if it helps, or place a hand on your belly to feel it rise and fall. Just doing that for a few moments can already shift your energy. So my invitation to you today is try it out right now. Pause this video. Take a few deep breaths in and out and notice what shifts and changes. You can also do a body scan, starting at the top of your head and slowly moving your awareness down to your toes. Notice the sensations without, and that is key, without trying to change them, without judging them, simply noticing. And here's the thing, and that's something that I hear a lot of times from people when I start to introduce and mention meditation, and they tell me that they've never meditated or they've tried it, but it just doesn't work. And then they tell me that maybe I just did it wrong. Maybe I'm not made to meditate. Maybe I just can't do it. There is no such thing as meditating wrong. Even if your mind wanders 100 times, that's 100 repetitions of training your attention. That's how you build the muscle. Meditation teachers usually call it the monkey mind. Your mind will wander. And I think that is one of the biggest misconceptions about meditation. Meditation is not about just shutting off all of your thoughts and sitting there in silence and your mind being completely empty. Maybe if you meditate every day for your whole life, maybe you get to that point at some point. But for us, this is not the goal. This is not where we want to go. We want to experience all of the calming benefits, allowing us to reconnect, to feel clear. And if your mind wanders, it wanders. One of the coolest things that I learned when I started meditation, and it really, really helped me, was there's two types of visualizations that I used to do when I was meditating and just like thoughts kept popping up. One of them is release it like a balloon and watch it like I always see that as like light blue balloon, just floating up in the air and disappearing, slowly fading away. Another one is you can place the thought in a river and just see it flow away. And the key thing here is don't attach to the thought. The thought comes up, but it's not going to hurt you. The problem is not that the thought comes up. The problem is when we attach to it, when we give it a meaning, when we judge it. So next time a thought comes up when you're meditating, simply allow it and then release it like a balloon or placing it in a river. So you can't do meditation wrong. But I need to highlight this again. Consistency is everything. And that's why I'm so excited. Because starting next Wednesday, we are going to do a 31-day meditation challenge right here on my channel. It's completely free. And every day for 31 days, I'll guide you through a short, accessible meditation. Each day will have a theme, from grounding to self-love to abundance to stress relief. We're going to have very short ones of 3 minutes. We're going to have some longer ones. So you have a whole menu of meditations, and I invite you to join us every day so that by the end of that 31-day meditation challenge, you started building a habit, plus you learned which meditation is for you and which one is not. So this meditation challenge is perfect if you've always wanted to meditate, but you never stuck with it. You get structure, support, and variety, so you can experience what's possible when you show up consistently. So if meditation has ever felt intimidating or confusing, I hope this video gave you a new perspective. It's not about emptying your mind or sitting still forever. It's about reshaping your brain, calming your body, and reconnecting with your soul. Meditation is a tool, and it can make you have a superpower. And I would love for you to experience this superpower for yourself. So make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss day 1 of the challenge next week. And if you found this helpful, give it a like and share it with a friend who might want to join. Because sometimes all it takes is 5 minutes a day to completely change how you experience life. Thank you so much for listening to this episode today. Goodbye.